Hello, my name is Zachariah Van Sliders with Old Man Gaming, and welcome to Borderlands 3 State of Play for May. Now, with me is the Buildmaster General himself.
Yo, what's up, old man fam? Philbilly330 here, back again on this month's State of Play.
That's right, the resident Borderlands 3 export for Old Man Gaming is here as well, and we've got a good amount to talk about today. We got a little content. We got some changes to the game. And we've got some other things to just talk about. And then, of course, we're probably going to bitch about a lot of things because it's kind of become our thing lately. So, I thought we could start off by talking about just the content for the event, Revenge of the Cartels. And if you don't mind, I'd like to open it. I think it's really good. I really liked it. I liked the level design of the extra level. I felt that there was actually some meat on that bone instead of just the broken hearts, where it was just hearts floating above people's heads doing stupid stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, that one kind of felt like a joke. And
it was.
but I don't. And I thought all the bosses were really good. But so overall, I really liked Revenge of the Cartels. I actually like it. I go back and forth whether I like it more in Bloody Harvest, because I try and kind of compare them if Bloody Harvest had a turn off sort of thing, whether I'd like it more or not. But I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about Revenge of Cartels?
I mean, I'm pretty much with you on it. I definitely do think it was the best. And I can actually, dip into why I think it was better than Bloody Harvest, aside from the turning off thing.
I'd love to hear it.
I think the map. So for Bloody Harvest, it was a linear. It was a linear path. Like, you ran through the same thing every single time. Where I think they went right with this, because it shares a lot of similarities with Bloody Harvest, guys. But what I think they did better with this is the villa, the map that you're in. You don't have to explore the whole map every time you come in. What you do is you go in, you fight through to the main gate, and then you got to get a mask for this statue, which opens the door to get you to the boss. So, and it'll kind of show you there's different routes. You can go upstairs, you can go downstairs, you could go to the right, to the left. Well, you don't have to clear the whole area. So it kind of, even though it's the same map every time, you see something a little different,
Yeah.
I mean, once you've done it 10 times, then yeah, you've seen the whole place, and
Right.
that's kind of to be expected. But I feel like it has a little more variation to it than the Bloody Harvest event that got really old really fast for me.
Well, I want to just go ahead and second you. The thing that I jump back and forth at, I think both of those events did certain things better than the other. The map design, I'm completely with you. The map design is absolutely phenomenal. Not only that, I just love not just the map design of Revenge of the Cartels, but the actual scenery, the level design stuff, like the way the white, everything's white marble and it chips and falls apart as you shoot. Just gives you this interactive feel that you just don't get from even the base game. I felt like this was just far and away one of the best designed areas in Borderlands 3.
Yeah, I almost wish even when the event was over that map just stayed a thing. I don't think it will, but I kind of wish it did.
Yeah.
And then you got your 80s style looking DeLorean cars parked outside to go with the theme, and it was just cool.
When does that event end, by the way?
Well, it's 6 weeks is how long it lasts. So I believe it's the very beginning of June.
Okay. So you still got a few days to get in on that, like a month or so.
Oh yeah, you got time, because heck, even I've been trying to me and Filthy Phil were trying to get all the
the big weapons,
all 18 challenges unlocked to get the heads and skins.
Yeah.
So I think we still have a couple left to do. So we got to run back through a couple more times.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to go any further in depth in this just because we only have so much time for our state of plays. And I have very in-depth review up, which I think is a pretty good review. Everybody is welcome to go check that out. Not trying to plug it, just don't want to use all our time to like re-review stuff I've already reviewed for the channel. But I do really like it. I like I said, the only thing I thought Bloody Harvest did superior was the skulls. I know everybody out there just collectively groaned, but I think the skulls would have been far less annoying in the overworld if you could turn them off when you got sick of them. And I think that was the problem, was that it was 6 weeks and they were just there forever. But I liked that they kind of like changed the way you played normally. But the map, you're 100% right. The map on Bloody Harvest is far inferior to the map of Revenge of the Cartels. Like it's not even close. And the boss fights are so good. They're more of what we talk about on this channel that we love so much, which are those like combat puzzles almost. Like, how do I beat this guy with the guns I have instead of just pouring rounds into somebody until they die? And I'm not even talking about the main guy. There was a guy called, like, I think he's called Firewall or something, where he just has like 4 bars of shield.
Yeah. Yep.
But he's like, you melt him once you get through the shield, but the shields are just so hard to get to and they regenerate so fast that it makes it this and he's not even a boss. He's just like almost like a
he's
rare spawn type thing, you know?
Yeah, he's one of the underbosses, I think is what they call him in the actual event.
Right. He's so like I thought it was really well designed. Really good, really good. But I think we've covered everything on the content side of that. Why don't we head over to Mayhem 10? Because that's where we're going to spend a lot of time, I feel like. So they unveiled the new Mayhem 10. It's no longer just the 4 levels of Mayhem or the 3 levels of Mayhem that it was. It's now 10 levels of Mayhem with a much more, I don't know if I'd say streamlined, but it's a little bit more of a user-friendly experience, in my opinion.
Yeah, they did some things right, and they when I talk about the positives and minuses of it, it's gonna sound like I'm gonna have like 1 or 2 positives, and they're big positives, but there's a lot of little negatives. So
well, let's go pros first. Let's go positive first.
You want to go first, or you want me to?
Well, honestly, for me, my positive right off the bat is how easy it is to reload the factors if you don't like them or they totally ruin everything. I like that you can just control the Mayhem 10 from your pause menu. I hated the fact that I'd have to go back to Sanctuary and move a stone around to switch things. I also didn't like that, like, and you still kind of have to reload the level from what a lot of the times. I still like it's very accessible in that manner of speaking, in my opinion. So that would be like my biggest pro for Mayhem is it's a lot easier to understand and easier to operate in the moment.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. That is one of the big pros I was thinking of too. Another, and this is a good pro, is it changed the build diversity of some characters, which like for instance, I have the Gamma Burst Flak out. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you probably checked it out at least.
Congratulations on 5K, man. Let's do it on the channel. Congratulations on 5K. I think that's a record-breaking build video for you. That thing is, it's definitely record-breaking for our channel. It's absolutely amazing. I'm just going to clap. Not to break your thought up, but I'm going to clap.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys supporting it out there. But it did stuff like that. Like, so I'm not saying Gamma Burst was trash before. It wasn't, but it enabled, like, and actually, I'm giving the credit to Mayhem 10, and it's not exactly Mayhem 10 necessarily that did that for a lot of these builds. It's just what came with Mayhem 10. So like new anointments is really what shook up the meta and allowed the things that didn't work as well before to be viable and almost meta, I guess, quote unquote, today, which
Right.
is nice because we had been stuck in these same like you went on YouTube and every build it was the same. Like I mean, even like my past builds, while they were mine and they were different than everybody else's, the overarching theme, I guess,
Right. I see
of that character build was the same as far as meta builds go.
right.
You know what I mean?
You've got to have enough of the meta in there for it to be viable.
Mm-hmm. So
it's
I
the
felt
same as Monster Hunter World. You got to have, the weakness exploit and the crit draw in your build to make it viable.
yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it opened that stuff up a lot, which brought a little more life for me, at least, into a game. And this is a positive, but also a negative. The other thing is it gave the hardcore players a lot more to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the other half of that we'll get into is definitely a drawback to
Well,
Mayhem 10.
we can segue right into the cons if you want, unless you've got other pros to talk about.
No, and that's why this is gonna sound really bitchy because I throw out like 3 big pros, but don't get me wrong, guys, those were big pros. But so the other side of the spectrum is Mayhem 10. It did nothing for the very casual Borderlands player, like, because not everybody has, you know, the crazy amount of time
Right.
to farm into it. And like another big negative, okay, so you got Mayhem 10, but you got Mayhem. What I noticed, to me at least, it felt like if you guys were playing on Mayhem 4 before Mayhem 2 came out, well, Mayhem 2.0, Mayhem 4 and the new Mayhem 5 to me seemed like the same, the same.
Yeah.
So let's say you were a Mayhem 4 player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you didn't have every god roll, weapon, shield, all that. You could probably get to, I'm going to say, if you were a quality player, you're pretty good at the game, you could probably hop right into like Mayhem 8, I would say. And you could get some content done in Mayhem 8. And so think of this, you jump into Mayhem 8, you farm out the same, well, you're farming out new stuff now because
Right.
there was the other bonus to this. I think I alluded to the fact that a lot of new guns and anointments and stuff were introduced. So, and you grind that out again, right? And then, so if you grind that out and you don't have, let's say you don't have a lot of friends that play the game that you can, share your loot with and stuff like that and help each other out.
Yeah.
You might have, I'm going to say it's possible to have 40 hours to grind out the gear at Mayhem 8 just to find out that now you can go to Mayhem 10 and you can start grinding there.
Right.
So you've just put another 80 hours of grinding into this game to then be at Mayhem 10, and anything you have below Mayhem 10 that you spent tens to maybe hundreds of hours farming, it's trash. Throw it away, because all it's doing is it's taking up space in your bank. You're never gonna, if you've gotten to that level, there's no reason to ever go backwards. It doesn't make sense to.
Right. Just to jump in and kind of echo what you're saying, for everybody out there who does not know or has not realized or has not listened to the previous shows, Philbilly330 is obviously a very hardcore Borderlands 3 player. I am a casual Borderlands 3 player, which makes it nice for the show. It gives you kind of both of the viewpoints, I would say.
Mm.
And I gotta say, other than the ease of access, Mayhem 10 does nothing for me. All it did was I started playing. I was playing Revenge of the Cartels. I was like, oh, this is a little too easy. I pumped it up to Mayhem 2. And then I was at the exact same level I've always been at. Nothing was really changed. Nothing really affected me. And that was it. Like, I was just done. Like, it didn't. And the other thing is, too, the progression, again, they're not. Revenge of the Cartels is great. We got good content there, but they're not giving us content. Again, they're making grinding the content, and that's not content. And casual gamers, the gamers who aren't the hardcores, who aren't just, shooting something over and over and over and over and over again to get the right weapons, those players, which are the main base of your players, you're going to lose them. You're going to lose them.
Yeah, because it didn't add enough longevity, and the argument on the other side is, well, you casual players, you can play on whatever Mayhem level you want, and so if you're only comfortable on Mayhem 4, you could play on Mayhem 4. And to that argument, I'm sorry, but I kind of say bullshit. Like, Borderlands, I don't care if you're casual, like, as long as you're into the game, regardless of how much time you have to grind, everybody wants to be on the highest difficulty, I would assume, like, because that's just how that game is. It's a loot grind to be like, look how strong I am, look what I can do. Because it's not PvP, so that's the quote unquote competitive part of Borderlands, is it's just being able to prove to yourself or your buddies
that you can do something.
That I can do this. So nobody wants to be on Mayhem 4 when there's 10 levels of it. Like, that's kind of a half-boiled argument. And then to even further that, you can tell someone, oh, well, you can play on Mayhem 4. And then my argument is, yeah, but they just released all these cool guns that aren't even available until Mayhem 6.
Right. That's something I really don't like, is the releasing of guns that are only touchable at the higher Mayhems. Like, I feel like that makes the casuals feel excluded. The other thing, I will say, I think Gearbox releasing Mayhem 10 alongside a content update of some sort was really smart, because that kind of circumvents the argument that we're making right now, because they're saying, hey, we gave the casuals the content and we gave the hardcores the Mayhem, which is cool and all, but again, the casuals who aren't playing it to get to that Mayhem 10, or aren't playing it to get those like god weapons, or just playing it to play it for fun, they don't care about the Mayhem stuff. They don't, I mean, if they care about new stuff to do, and if there's not new stuff to do, I mean, the people who aren't going to grind, they're not going to grind. So you've got to stop making everything about the grind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the grind can be cool in some way, like, because I'm going to go on a limb. Obviously, I'm not just a casual player, but I would assume that a lot of casual players out there still like to get on all the unlockables done and stuff. Yeah. So it did give them a good amount of content as far as on the event side of things, because if you want to unlock everything in the Cartels, the Revenge of the Cartels, that probably gives you a good, I'd say 10 to 20 hours, depending on how lucky and or good you are.
It gives you a good amount of it, I would say. I think again, you're gonna alienate some people, because they're gonna be like, do I really care about that head to do this a 9th time? But
True.
But I think you're right. I think Revenge of the Cartel, I mean, speaking from the casual side, I felt Revenge of the Cartels was amazing. It actually made me start a new character, which I hadn't even been considering. I had just been like, okay, my main character's up to level 57. I do the DLC. I'm done, you know?
Yeah.
And I actually started another new character from the beginning with a new build just because Revenge of the Cartels was so good. But again, that's what they need to keep giving us for the casuals. The Mayhem 10 is great for the hardcores, but it's not gonna keep any casuals around. It definitely isn't.
Yeah. And let me, before I lose track of this thought
Yeah.
too, so let me talk about, so they added all these cool new guns and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's a big problem that I've actually realized recently through playing. So those unfortunately, in the really high mayhem levels, all of the I shouldn't say all. I'm going to go ahead, and I think this is fairly accurate to say 90% of the old legendaries, they don't work anymore. So I'm talking like redistributors. If I were talking to you a month ago, a redistributor was, especially for Zane, but for all characters, was one a top tier meta gun. Hyper focus, top tier meta gun. Why am I gonna do this? The old Q system was a top tier gun. It was an epic gun, but it was a top tier gun. My lumps that I really liked, they were top tier guns. I could go on, but the point is, a lot of those guns, they don't work in the higher mayhem modes. So you made these new guns, which do work in higher mayhem modes, but are locked behind higher mayhem modes. So it literally, like, everything good that the new guns brought, it brought negatives to, because they didn't balance what was already in the game correctly.
Right.
So how I said it opened the meta, what I'm realizing is the meta is quickly closing again.
Right.
Because so when I released that last build video, I got it out pretty early. Like I think I got that out like 4 or 5 days tops after.
Actually, I can tell you exactly how many days it came out after, because the Revenge of the Cartels came out the Thursday prior to your build video coming out. And your build video came out the Tuesday after. So it was
5 days.
So 5 days, because my review came out the day before your build video too. So yeah, we were on top of Revenge of the Cartels. Yeah.
So I'm not saying that I'm like some ingenuitive builder necessarily, but go look at all the build videos that are popping out now. The guys that I might have beat to the punch, they're running the same stuff that I'm running, more or less. There's some variability to it.
Well, and that's not even the knock on them, you know.
No. They didn't copy me. They didn't
the meta.
copy me at all.
Yeah. The meta is becoming locked down again, and yeah.
And it only took 2 weeks to like, so this thing that I thought had blown up and expanded the meta, I'm starting to realize now it was only a sugar pill. It wasn't real. Like, I mean, it did, but it closed it at the same time. And it's not, it's really Gearbox's fault, because they released this, it was great, but they didn't balance the old things to make sure that meta actually stayed open.
Right.
So you went from like 15 meta guns to thinking that, okay, well, now there's 40 meta guns, but really no, you just lost those original 15, and kept some new ones.
Right.
It's kind of a bummer.
No, I get it. And, I think all of these games that with the long tails on them have a hard time keeping up with that meta. Very few have done it correctly, and it's hard to keep up with that. But you're right. You're going to get to a point where this is the best gun in the game, so everybody's going to be using it. But we got to move on from the cons. Is there anything else you want to cover before we move to the kind of the last couple of little things?
No, I think I pretty much covered the main things I wanted to touch on there.
All right. Well, do you want to let anybody out there know about any important hot fixes that I know we've had some hot fixes recently? So, do you want to tell anybody out there, PSA style, any hot fixes they should be aware of?
I can tell you guys hot fixes that need to happen and tell you the negatives. Like, okay, so if you guys are flak players, head count, one of flak's skills. If you're running a rack attack flak, head count doesn't work right now. It's but something's messed up in the game, which this seems to happen every time Gearbox releases something new. Something else in turn gets
Messed up.
screwed up. Yeah, and so that needs fixed. So just a heads up, if you guys are flak, or I'm sorry, rack focused flak player, just so you know, head count doesn't work. So hopefully they do a hot fix soon to fix that.
Okay.
Obviously, hopefully they do a hot fix to balance some of this older gear so that my last con becomes null and void. I really hope they do.
And when they do, please think about the way you do it. Don't overpower them like you do so many times before.
Yeah,
Can't
and
count
don't
the number of
overpower
times.
them so
Right.
that way you nerf them into the
I,
ground the next
right.
week.
I can't count the number of times they overreact to something being weak.
Yeah. And then One Plus, they've released a lot of hot fixes for Moe's. I will admit I don't play as much. She's probably my second most played character, but I haven't been playing as much as of her lately. But from what I hear, they've done a lot of good things for Moe's. I know Iron Bear is much more viable now. I know she has some ways to sustain like survivability without just doing the old-fashioned chuck grenades to use vampire.
That's
Um,
good because I want to play a Moe's that I can do Iron Bear with.
Yeah, I think it's definitely doable now. I'm from everything I have heard. Like I said, I can't speak directly from experience, but I believe she is
More viable.
pretty flushed out character
That's awesome.
now.
That's nice to hear. I like that to hear. Okay, well, I think I think that's about it, right? On the hot fixes.
Yeah, I think that about covers it.
All right. Well, we are a little bit over on time, but just to go really quickly, you know, not too in depth. We're each going to give just a little improvement we'd like to see the game make. Honestly, for me, I don't see a lot. Like right now, I'm actually pretty happy with the game. The Mayhem 10 stuff, like I said, doesn't bother me because I don't really I make the game as difficult as it needs to be challenging, but not too difficult that I'm dying every 10 seconds, and then I just play what I want to play. So the Mayhem 10 isn't really bothering me one way or the other. However, I like the content of Revenge of the Cartels. I want to see more content, and I really, 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 my improvement would be let's get another takedown. Please get that takedown going.
Amen to that. That is definitely on there.
One quick improvement from you there, Buildmaster.
Definitely the takedown, just to add some more repeatable content that because the takedown, it took a long time for me to get bored with that. Like I played Malawan takedown happily for probably a month because it was like this challenge that I just wanted to keep working at being able to be either a good enough or make a build good enough to handle it. And heck, there were people that didn't achieve the being able to solo it until kind of recently, like since they released that true takedown toggle thing. So
I've never soloed it either way. So
not really.
Yeah, never. I've tried quite a few times, but I've never actually soloed it either way. I've gotten through with other people, but never soloed it myself. So I feel that, and I like that that's a hurdle that's still there to be jumped. I will say, I think Borderlands, and maybe this should be a subject of our next state of play, but I think Gearbox should seriously consider stop doing the events. Or like or just release them as content that is just there and you can just play it whenever, like, and turn it on whenever you want to turn it on and turn it off whenever you want to turn it off, because
That I agree with.
then you just have this extra content whenever you wanted to dive into it. And I feel like that is what they should be doing, because they want to point out so much that they're not a games as service, and stop acting like one.
Yeah, I'm okay with the events being there, but I definitely agree. I like the events because it adds some diversity to what you can do, but I definitely agree that there should be a way to continue to play them.
Right. But
especially when you lock like certain items and guns
yeah,
behind them, and then when that event ends, it closes. Well, then you get a level cap raise or something down the line, and
yeah,
now you can't refarm those guns.
that's
It's
exactly
kind
right.
of stupid.
And that's something that bothers me. That's something that really bothers me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that definitely brings us to the end of the show. I hope everybody out there found it informative and enjoyed it. And you guys can check us out on Facebook at Old Man Gaming DH, on Twitter at Old Man Gaming 9. You can, of course, join our Discord. The link is in the description below, and you can influence all of our shows from there. And then please comment below. Let us know how we are completely wrong and we don't know what we're talking about. Or tell us we're doing good in the off chance you feel like doing that.
And actually, yeah, as far as comments, any of you guys out there, because I know we reach a lot of Borderlands players.
Yeah.
Tell me, do you guys agree with where I'm coming from on my issues with Mayhem 10? Do you guys see the same, or am I looking at it the wrong way? I would love to just get a friendly conversation going, because I would like to hear some other people's input on that. Like, I think it did some things really good, but I think it did some things really wrong too. So tell me what you guys think, and I will be sure to check the comments, and I will converse with you all.
I want to tell anybody out there commenting on any Borderlands material, Philbilly is without a doubt the most responsive member of the Foundation 4 on Old Man Gaming. I give him all the props for that. He is on comments before I sometimes even realize I have a notification for them. I don't even know how you do it sometimes, man.
I just look at the video 10 times a day.
But if you want to talk to us, especially Philbilly, he will talk to you. He will totally talk to you. Like, we are very responsive, and I would love to hear from the casuals. I'd love to hear how other people play Borderlands too, not just the hardcores. How do you play Borderlands if you're just a casual? Do you care about Mayhem, or do you just like the content, or am I crazy? You know what I mean? So, but we definitely got to wrap this show up. As usual, guys, if you keep watching and listening, we'll keep on making them. We'll definitely be back next month with another state of play. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys then.
Yeah, later, old man fam. Take it easy.